How's it going, everyone? This is the Toon Trooper, and today I'm going to go over update V0.18.3. Now, I know I'm a little late with this. I was supposed to record this on Friday, but unfortunately, when I did, the audio didn't come out right, and then I was very busy over the weekend, so bear with me as I have to do this today. This patch does go live tomorrow, Tuesday. Tuesday the 11th, if you're watching this on Monday, which is hopefully I get to upload it today. Now, this patch should be a small patch, but it's actually not. Meta does actually talk about this. I know people thought that after our last patch, um, V0.18, because we got a new game mode, because we got the 6 item slot, because we got a new hero, that normally this next patch usually tends to be smaller, and then 3 weeks from tomorrow is when we get another big patch, but that's not the case. With this one, we get a lot of different changes. We get a lot of adjustments to like tank items, because tanks are not really good right now. Casters are very strong. Carries are dominating everything right now, right? You see a lot of carries even being played in the mid lane just because they're that strong, right? Like Twin Blast and Grim. So a few of their items are gonna get touched, and we actually are getting something new in this patch, which is kind of nice. We're actually getting rank mode, and for anyone that doesn't know, rank mode is gonna be available. It's gonna be available during the weekend, and you're gonna be able to queue up with friends of only one other person. In other words, it can only be solo or with one other person, so it can only be 2 of you. It can't be more than that. This is kind of like their base of rank, but it is kind of nice that we're finally getting ranked, and you know that there's different tiers that come with rank, and that you're gonna be able to like test yourself and just see how good you actually are in the game. Now, let's get it. Let's start with the patch notes. Oh, yeah, let's start with the patch notes. So the first thing that they talk about in this patch is going to be skins. This is actually really nice, especially since the first skin that we're getting. This is actually really nice because the first skin that we're actually getting is the Summer Fun Twin Blast skin. I'm very surprised that we're actually getting this, especially since it's not technically summer. I think summer starts June 20th, if I remember correctly, and we're already getting this skin. So, I thought we were gonna get a next patch. We got a this patch. It's real nice. We are getting multiple skins. So the Twin Blast Summer Fun is a legendary skin, so that's really great. Another legendary, completely new Greystone skin. This was not in Paragon. This is completely new. Lotus Knight Greystones is an epic skin, and then we're getting different variants for Chimera's Holy Crux Pelt. Only a few people, only a few people actually have this skin, and that's people that pre-order the early access. So now everyone actually has this. So now you're gonna be able to purchase it, and it's gonna come with different variants. So this over here, Summer Fun Twin Blast bundle, generic dance where it comes with a spray, it comes with a banner, and it comes with a profile icon. And you can see down here that it actually comes with 2 other variants. So it's three different colors in total. So you have his regular one. You have this one, which is more of a lighter, kind of like, it gives me like Florida vibes color. I really like the second one. And then you have like a black one, or a gray, black and white one, which I think everyone's gonna love because black goes for everything. So then this is the bundle for the Greystone skin. Kind of nice. I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I saw this spray, I thought this was like his mustache. It's actually him covering his face with his shield. Maybe I was the only one that felt that way, but yeah. Same thing. Profile icon spray, banner. Then the Holy Crux Pelt skins. You can see the different variants. Where is it? This is the regular one. This is one variant. This is another variant. And that's third variant. I personally like the very last one, the green one. But unlike the Twin Blast, this one comes with 3 variants, where the Twin Blast comes with 2. So the Holy Crux Pelt skin is going to have a total of 4 different color schemes. And something else that we're getting is 2 other variants for Argus Dreadlord skin, which is this one. It's like a yellow color, yellow and black, and then this one, which is like, I think, white and red. All right, so the next thing that they talk about is rank mode. So Like I said, rank mode is only going to be available during the weekends. I'm assuming it's the same for EU, but when I converted the time for NA, this starts at 3 p.m. and it ends at 11 p.m. So this is kind of nice, right? It's not at the start of the day, It's kind of like I feel like everyone should be able to play ranked unless like you work during the weekend or something, or even if you work, right? Because assuming most jobs are like 9 to 5, right? By the time you get home, maybe you'll have some time to play ranked. So I think their time frame for this, the fact that it's not too late and not too early, is it's really nice. This is like I said, 3 to 11. Sorry, 11. Did I have that right? Yes, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. and that's yeah, that's the time. Um, So other things that people should know about rank mode is there's going to be a draft phase. So your team and the enemy team are going to be able to ban one player. They do mention in this draft phase that you know it's a it's a 5v5. So let's say you and one other teammate, just to give an example, you and one other teammate pick Aurora, and two other teammates pick like Gideon, and then you have that one person that picked, I don't know, like Rampage or something. Because you have 2 votes for both Aurora and Gideon, the game is just going to choose randomly. If you have, obviously, like let's say you had 3 Gideon and 2 Aurora, then it would be Gideon that would get banned on your side because he has the majority of the votes. Something else that they talk about ranked is that you're going to get VP points, and what you need to do is that for each one, there's you have to get 100 VP points. And so, well, before I get into this, the way rank works is that you're actually going to start. It's going to be at bronze 3. So when you start at bronze 3, unlike how Ometa, I believe, Dot City has it, you go from bronze 1, then to bronze 2, then to bronze 3, and then you go to silver 1. That's the way it works. And just standard game mode if you want to see your MMR right now before ranked. When rank comes out, it's kind of like the opposite. So it's like you start at bronze 3, then you go to bronze 2, then bronze 1, and then you start at silver 3. It isn't like you go 1, 2, 3. It goes from 3 to 1. The other thing is that, so as I was saying, you need 100 VP points to go to the next promotion, so to go to the next tier. However, they have like promotional states. So in other words, let's say you're in bronze 3 and you play a few matches, right? And you have like, I don't know, let's say 80 VP points, and then you play one match, you win, and you get 40. You're gonna have a total of 120 VP points. So normally, because you already passed 100, you would think, oh, I would level up off this match because I already passed the 100 threshold, so I would go to bronze 2. But that's not the case, right? They actually have promotional states. So what would happen is you would have 120 VP points, and it would put you in a promotional state, and then you have to win the next match. So there's another match you actually got to win. So what ends up happening is if you win that next match, then you promote and you move on to bronze 2 if you're still following this example. But you'll also get the 20 points that was excess from when you got 100 total VP points and how much you get from that win. Now, let's say you go to bronze 2, right? And then they also talk about, or sorry, let's say you're in a promotional state and you lose, right? And if you're in a promotional state for whatever reason, let's say like if you had 120 and you lose 20, you'll stay in the promotional state. But if you lost, in this example, if you lost like 21 and let's say you have 99, you don't have to win one match, you have to win two because you need to get to that 100 threshold to be in the promotional state, and then you got to win that match while you're in the promotional state. So I feel like a lot of people are not gonna like this. I kind of do, me personally, only because I feel like this, right? Like this feels like so competitive. It kind of feels like you have to try every single match, and it's like, oh, I'm about to level up, and it's like, no, you still got one more match. So it's like you gotta go try hard, and I kind of like that because it's gonna, this is ranked, right? I feel like it's gonna force it out of you if you weren't playing seriously. Where it's like, yeah, you're gonna play seriously because you want to get promoted. You don't want to keep going to promotional state, the promotional state, and then lose matches, and then you can't, you can't promote and go to the next tier. So they don't show it here, right? Yeah, they don't show it here, but there are different tiers. So you have they're all, so it has like bronze 3, 2, 1. The same thing for silver, same thing for gold. I believe there's same thing for platinum, and then diamond. And in diamond, there is no, sorry, and the same thing. Sorry, the same thing for diamond when you go 3, 2, 1. And they talk about how once you have over 100 VP points in diamond, you'll become paragon, which is the final tier, and that's paying homage to, you know, what this game is taking inspiration from, right? Because I'm pretty sure most of you played Paragon back in like 2016. That's it's a predecessor, it's a Paragon remake. So I think that's cool. I think a lot of people are definitely going to aim just to become Paragon, just because of the name, right? Just because it's called Paragon. At least I know I will. So that's everything. That's pretty much everything regarding rank. They talk about how we're gonna get prizes and everything. They don't talk about the prizes. At least I didn't see it. And I believe they said in a different post that depending on the tier that you are, you're gonna get different prizes. So I would assume, right, you'll probably get amber. So it's like if you're in a higher tier, you'll probably get more amber. Whereas in a lower tier, you'll get less amber. Then maybe they'll probably give like exclusive like profile icons, banners, sprays. Maybe they'll even give tier 1, maybe even tier 2 items, right? Common and uncommon. That'll be kind of cool. If they do that, if they make skins like a reward, I feel like that would definitely make sorry, that would definitely make people to try harder. Um, Especially if they're like exclusive skins and you can only get it once you reach that certain rank tier. All right, so that's everything regarding rank. Then now we're gonna go over like gameplay changes. They have a few. Um, just to break this down a lot easier. Uh, Generic like general gameplay changes that you're gonna see changes to the jungle minions and to structures. So regarding structures, you're gonna see that the outer tower, which is the first tower, inner tower, which is the second tower, and inhibitor, or you could say third tower, they're all getting percent armor penetration increased. I guess this is because people are diving towers too much and the tower's not doing too much. So they're all going from 40% to 45%. However, regarding the inner tower and the inhibitor, their health is being decreased. So for the inner tower, it's going from 5,000 to 4,600, and the inhibitor is going from 6,000 to 5,200. However, the inhibitor gets an additional change compared to the inner tower, which is damage is increased. You can see here from 154 to 160, and it's going to scale even harder, right? Where it's going to do more damage instead of doing an additional 12 per level. It's going to do an additional 15 per level, which is kind of cool. Inhibitor shouldn't be, the towers in this game, they really are a threat. They do pretty nice damage, and the fact that they're gonna do more damage now, especially inhibitors. So it's like I would assume the reason they're doing this is so you can't solo inhibitors too early, right? You'll need a team even if it has low health, and you can't tank it too much because again, so many people are just tower diving. And even though Phoenix is not in the game, people are getting away with it. So regarding jungle changes, I'm not gonna go every single one individually. I'm just gonna give you the gist of it, where it's blue buff, red buff. They do less damage. Why? Because jungle minions hurt a lot, and I feel like it takes a while just to clear the jungle camps. And they're kind of speeding this up, and you can see, especially if you play assassin, specifically like Fang Mao and especially Kalari, by the time you do like your first like full clear, you have like 30-40% of your health. Like you don't even want to gank at that point because you have so little health. So you just like, there are a lot of times where I play jungle and if I'm like forced to go back just to get my health back. And obviously buy any tier 1, tier 2 that I can, especially that early in the match. But I feel like I'm going back way too many times just because jungle camps do too much, and it also makes it harder for you to camp or to even try to contest other junglers camps, right? It shouldn't be too easy, but it also shouldn't be too hard, right? Because now it feels like when you invade jungles, you just die, right? Like you just can't get away with it. That's kind of how like it feels right now, but that's all gonna change tomorrow. So I was saying blue buff and red buff damage is going down, and their initial damage is going down, and the damage of whatever level you're in per level is also gonna go down. I guess you could call it like the scaling. All the other camps, every other camp, what's happening is their health, their initial health is remaining the same, but the amount they get per level is being reduced. So for all of them, it's a bit different, but all you got to know is that jungle camps have less health, which means you're going to be able to clear it faster, and you're going to be able to have more health because you cleared it faster. And then, like I said, the red and blue buff are going to do less damage. So, they're, jungle camps are finally not going to be as scary. I think there was two of them that not only did their health go down, but they got other changes as well, which is right here. The large minions at the white camp, at the 4 white camp, their damage is also going up. Their initial damage is going up by 2. And the small minions in the white camp, the damage is going from 7. Their initial damage is going from 7 to 4, but the scaling for both of them, it's staying the same. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is hero balance changes. So the hero changes kind of surprised me. Just the direction. I shouldn't say surprised, but the direction that they're going, it's really nice because I feel like they're definitely listening. They're definitely listening to like everyone that plays this game. And the reason I say that is because the last patch changed so much that it's kind of hard to say where the meta is. So you're going to see with that with the hero balances and the item balances, they really took into account what people found issues with, which is what I previously mentioned before, where it's like carries are doing too much. So you're going to see nerf to carry items. You're also going to see buffs to tank items. And most of the carry items that are getting hit are on-hit items because on-hit items are keen right now. And even though they're very good, you're also going to see like buffs to Revenant. And I specifically mentioned Revenant because he's actually one of the carries that doesn't build all this on-hit like attack speed items because it doesn't really work with his kit. So the first hero we're going to go over is Argus. Argus used to be very strong, but I would say mainly because of an item called Caustica, which is still in the game, and Caustica is better at armor shredding, but it's worse at sorry, it's not worse. It no longer has the mana regeneration passive. It has mana regeneration as one of its like base stats, but it doesn't have it in one of its passive where it pretty much allowed every mid laner to do an insane amount of damage and have infinite mana while doing an insane amount of damage. So the infinite mana is finally gone, but his mana cost was high, and his numbers just weren't hitting there. So his passive is getting his multiplier is being increased from 30% to 35%. This is basically like if you keep doing continuous damage, Argus damage is going to ramp up. His alternative ability, the mana cost, this is a machine gun that I like to call it, is going from 8 to 20 to 7 to 15. This is great because once you max this out, you can hold it indefinitely or until you let go. And the fact that this is going to cost 5 less mana per shot, and you tend to shoot like 5, 10, like usually at a time, because this is what you use to burst people down. You even use this to burst down the minions on your lane. This is really good. This is definitely going to help Argus in the mid lane, which is his main role and not support. So this is a good buff to Argus. Aurora is taking some hits because she is arguably the best hero in the game. She is just way too good, insanely mobile for a fighter. And honestly, I kind of wish they would hit her more because everything that I'm about to mention right now, it's honestly happened. There is the fact that she can get away. Like they would have to make, I don't know, like the range of her one less or something, maybe make it increase per level or make her less um or make her more squishy because her, the fact that she could kind of go tank and be mobile, and like I said, tank items are getting buffed, that's gonna be a problem. Like after this, she's still gonna be very strong, both in the jungle and in off lane. And there are times that people are even building her um, building her in support because she is just that strong, and you could put a wall to like, trap people or like stop people from advancing, which is actually pretty smart. So her basic attack timer increased from 1.1 to 0.5. This is basically attack speed went from 105 to 110, so she's gonna attack faster. Her passive, not the jump itself, but like the blizzard that she does around her, the monster damage cap decreased from 12 to 10. However, the scaling per level stayed the same. I think this does absolutely nothing. The reason is because you're going to see, especially if you play her in the jungle camp's got less health. So even though this does damage based on max health, I feel like her clear time is pretty much going to be the same. I wish they kind of lowered the per level to 3, but I could be wrong, right? There's a whole bunch of numbers and a whole bunch of math that's going into the amount of damage that she does with this ability. So um, well, I'll just have to wait and try it on myself. But this is a very strong ability, and this is something that definitely makes her a strong hero because it does damage based on max health, and this is what makes her strong against other people that even do try to build tank. Horrorfrost, so secondary ability, the one the ring that roots. The magical scaling is going from 70 to 65, so that means later on in the match it's not going to do as much. And the mana cost scaling is going from 50 to 60. This should have been like 80, honestly. 60 is still low, and I feel like it doesn't really do anything. I never have a problem with mana when it comes to Aurora, me personally. And the third ability is Borrow Sweep, the new ability that she got, her alternate ability. The cooldown is going from 12 to 8, 13 to 8, so it's basically just the 1% increase at level 1. This honestly doesn't matter because you max this out first, and so it's gonna still be 8, just like it was before. Just so people don't get confused, the magical power scaling is going from 25 to 30. This ability actually does 2 hits. She does like a cone ability of ice damage that slows everyone and does very little damage. And then after like a second, it explodes and it applies the slow again. This magical scaling increase is just for the first hit. It's not for the second hit that does the most damage. So even though this is going up and it is a buff, it's like the first part doesn't do that much. It's everything together that does a lot. Um, and I'm surprised they actually increase the scaling. I feel like they should have left it the same or even decreased the scaling for the second part, but they didn't. What they did do, however, is that the second part of it, the damage did go down. So it went from 75 to 215 to 75 to 195. So it is something, it is going to do less damage. Maybe not as less as people think because the scaling for the first part went up. So Crunch. So what they're doing with Crunch is that they're actually increasing his health growth from 123 to 127. So that means every time he levels up, he's gonna get more health, 4 more health per level. Which, okay, it's something. I don't know how much this is gonna help him. I feel like this is definitely gonna help him late game, which his ultimate has a passive where when he does an ability, or I forget if it's an ability or it's the empowered ability. But regardless, the healing went up from 20 to 90 to 20 to 100. Basically a level 3 by 10 and a level 2 by 5. This is really nice. This is gonna help him to, mid to late game, maintain his survivability, and the fact that they didn't do it early game, or specifically when this ultimate is a level 1 is very smart because Crunch really comes online when he's level 1. So you don't want to make him strong early. You want to make him strong, at least a little bit stronger late game, because that's when he starts to struggle. So Decker is way too safe of a support. It has apparently very good stats and does an insane amount of damage. So they're toning that down a bit. Her physical power decreased from 62 to 59. Her health growth went down, basic health regen, and her basic attack scaling went from 60 to 40. I think she's the only one that actually has 40% scaling on her basic attack, and it's kind of crazy. It's really low. This does not mean that Decker's bad, right? They're just tweaking her numbers a bit, and even though her basic attack got a big nerf, right? You just harass people with the basic attack or like try to pull minions to your side, but you're a support. It isn't like doing crazy damage on her. Like you just want to trap people and stun them, and then your carry is gonna finish them. Fang Mao, they're toning him down a bit, mainly when it comes to him in the off lane, because that's not his main role. He is his main role, and they want to tone that down a bit because he kind of like trades like really good and he does way too much damage. And even though you're gonna see that his like basic attack and hamstring, which is main damage dealer, is going down, his ultimate is going up. So less health, less scaling. His shield is gonna scale better with more physical power that you have, which is nice. 120 to 130. His hamstring does 10 less damage at all levels now, and his ultimate has increased damage. I think it's 25 at all levels, 10% increased scaling, and the execute threshold is higher at level 2 and level 3, and the scaling for threshold is also higher. So this is cool because I guess his execute threshold was too low. I felt like it was fine. The fact that it's going to be higher, you're not going to get any complaints from me, but that's because I'm biased and I am a Fang Mao player. And I know that after all these changes, people are going to be building tanks more because, at least a little bit more, because they are getting buffed. Gadget, her Seek and Destroyed is getting nerfed. It's going from 12 to 10, from 14 to 10. This is kind of a big deal. The reason is because you tend to max out her Sticky Mine first and then this second. So if you're gonna max this out second, that means there's a longer longer time throughout the match that this is going to be 2 seconds more than what it used to be before, because it's going to be, instead of 12, it's going to be 14 because when you have this level 1. So maybe gadget players going to want to max this out first, but I doubt it. Sticky Mine is just it's too good. Gideon is still the best mid laner. I don't think anyone is going to compete that. Noxia makes him a very strong hero. Well, sorry, makes him an even stronger hero. So because he's very strong, they're giving him a bit of nerfs. So his primary ability, damage is going down from like 135 to 335 to 135 to 315. This is 20 when you max this out, which is the first ability you do max out, so it is nice. And his black hole scaling is going from 288 to 261. That's good. I like that they're doing nerfs, because before, when they would do nerfs, they'll try to compensate and like put like maybe a buff somewhere else. So I like the fact that they're acknowledging it's like, yes, this character's overtuned. Let's just nerf him. That's it. Grim has been a havoc, and you probably see him in mid lane more than the mid laners themselves because he's just that strong. So they're actually nerfing, I guess, his role in mid lane and buffing his role in duo, because that's mainly where he should be because he is a carry. So his primary ability, Deno Damage, is being changed. Is doing a bit more damage early game, 5 more damage early game, but when you max this out, it is going to do 35 less damage. However, the magical power scaling is going up, which is kind of weird. Or, it is going up. So even though this might help in mid lane, this is more like later on about the match. But this item, sorry, not this item, this ability was very oppressive and was doing a lot of damage. And the fact that you could push people towards you and then keep on basic attacking them, with his assault mode and just slow them, they would never escape. His assault mode, they're actually switching it. Magical power scaling 20, as magical power scaling is going from 20 to 15. So this is, one of the things that hurts him in mid lane, because normally when you build him in mid lane, you want to put more magical power, and you kind of want to do this kind of like burst version of him, where it's like you want to use your primary a lot, and then you want to hit them with your ultimate. And then obviously you keep slowing them with this, but the scaling for the magical power is less, physical is more. So you're gonna, it's almost like they're incentivizing that you build more physical power. His energy shield, early game, the cooldown is decreased by 2. Late game, or when it's maxed out, it's the same. This ability does have a long cooldown, so I get it. But it is a very strong ability, especially since they buffed the last patch, where the shield stays a little bit longer, so you don't have to do it exactly right when they hit you with the ability. Plus, you also get your mana back. I don't know if people know that, or get some mana back if you block an ability with it. And then his ultimate magical power scaling is just straight up nerf, going from 90 to 80. So you won't be able to pretty much assassinate people from like half screen with his ultimate, with his lock on ultimate. Next is Grux. His ultimate attack speed is going down. Okay. Kalari, her ultimate damage is going up. It isn't much changes, but the fact that there's less health in the jungle and blue and red buff do less damage is a buff to her, because I always felt like I was mentioning, she has very little health right now. They know this, so the way they're nerfing her is that her basic attack scaling is going from 85 to 80. I don't know if other carries have theirs at 80. I could have swore everyone was already at 85 to 100, 85, 90. There is no 95, there's 100, and I believe Revenant is the only one that's 100 for obvious reason. He reloads, he doesn't get attack speed. I mean, I could be wrong, but she might be the only one that's 80. I'm trying to think. Is Sparrow and Twin Blast 80? I could have swore they were 85. I have to double check just to make sure. But Kira's getting nerfed. Chimera, best jungler since like forever. I'm honestly tired of this guy, even though I play jungle myself. His movement speed is going down. That's fine. Makes sense actually. I mean, I get it. With his ambush, he leaps onto people anyway, so there's no reason for him to be super mobile and then just having it. But this honestly does nothing anyway because everyone builds Berserker's Axe on him, and Berserker's Axe has 3% movement speed on it. His passive, these next two things is where it's really gonna hurt him, especially this one. His health regeneration per stack is going from 0.7 to 565 to 0.6 to 4.7. So this is per stack. So he's gonna end up losing, or he's not gonna gain as much health as he used to, or as much stacks as he used to, which is gonna give him more health regen. So this is good. This is obviously how you want to nerf Chimera. I think this is what it used to be before. I think they buffed it in 18. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but this is good because I don't think anyone's going to argue he is the best jungler and he is the easiest jungler to use. I kind of wish they kind of nerfed his secondary ability too because that's his cleanse, and the fact that he has a cleanse is really OP. But it kind of did get nerfed with the spare regeneration because even when he does cleanse, he's not going to be able to heal as much as before as well. So yeah. And his basic attack scaling is going down from 90 to 85, which is still really high. I feel like it should be 80, only because his primary gives him pretty much 5 basic attacks really fast. But that's fine because I think things like Sky Splitter, which he uses a lot, and Keen's Bane are getting nerfed later on. Kwang, his passive, they're increasing the scaling. They're going 12 to 14. This is after you use an ability. His basic does like more damage, well, more like electricity damage, and it reduces like the cooldown of your active abilities, I believe, by 1. His Light of the Heavens, this is his alternative ability. When he has the sword in his hand, the shield scaling is going up by 5% from 50 to 55. However, if he hasn't the sword and there's an enemy around the sword, he actually does, if he actually does 2 damage with this ability, and the scale damage is going from 40 to 45. His ultimate, I really don't get this. It literally went from, like, at level 3, it went from 470 to 480. It does 10 more, and then at level 2, it does 5 more. Like, this does absolutely nothing. Morgesh, a hero that's currently strong right now. It's so easy for her to assassinate people. So they're kind of they're nerfing her because they acknowledge that she does way too much damage right now, like way too much. So her primary scaling is going from 65 to 60. This is what it used to be before. And then her mark damage when you max this out is going from 235 to 215, which is 20 less, which is good. They didn't touch the scaling for this one. I guess we'll have to see how oppressive she is after this, but I still feel like she's going to be very strong. I feel like people are sleeping on her. She's a very good hero, especially with those new mage items that came out, specifically Noxia, and then the changes that they also made to Combustion, where you can get Combustion's passive faster if you use an ability that has ticks on it, which is her Hive. Next is Murdoch. They're just making his static trap do less damage because sometimes you should, by the way, but I feel like people step on this when he's not around, or even when he is around, and you should not do that because they do a lot of damage, and they notice that, which is why at level 5 you'll see at all levels it does 20 less damage, and it's going to cost them more mana because Murdoch just throws these on the field and it just limits your movement a bit. He just throws it wherever, or he would just block like a fog or something. Next is Narbash, which is a very strong support. His physical power is going down. His health growth is going down. Apparently, he's too tanky, which is why they're nerfing that. But something else that's going down, similar to Chimera, is that healing is very strong. So they're actually nerfing the healing per rhythm stack is actually going down by 0.05 per level. This is what it used to be before. He just used too much. And the other thing is that there's this new item called Everbloom, I believe, which gives when when you're healing someone, it gives them 5% damage mitigation and 15% tenacity, which is crowd control reduction, basically. And mid to late game, he could just keep his Song of the People open. So the fact that he could just heal a lot and then just give him the mitigation and tenacity is like really strong, which is why he's considered like the best support. And then his his stunk cooldown is being increased by 1 second per level, which is not that big of a deal. And I kind of wish they increased it by 1 more second, by 2 seconds instead of just 1. And the reason I personally feel this way, if I remember correctly, Decker's stasis bomb, which is her stun, is 17 seconds 1. And the thing with Narbash is that with his passive, depending on how much rhythm stacks he has, I believe when he throws his stunk, it reduces the cooldown further. So he actually gets his stun even faster than Decker. Like the cooldown is already less, so he gets it faster, but then he gets it even more fast because of his passive. Just reduces the cooldown even further. Rampage, his ultimate regeneration that he gets going from 3.5 to 4. Okay, that's gonna help him when he ults and he's in lane and not in the jungle. Right? Yeah, when he ults. Revenant, getting a few buffs. Like I said, he's probably considered the weakest carry because on hit and attack speed is just very good. And even though they're getting nerfed, they still want to give Revenant just a bit of love. So physical armor is going up, Hellfire rounds, which is the last hit with your basic attack does like crit damage. Um, it, um, it does I think crit damage and like missing health damage on the enemy. So that's going up. It's going from like 0.4% to 0.40% to 0.45%. And then his ultimate cooldown is being reduced by 10 seconds per level. This is actually really nice, 10 per level, because you can use this to pretty much guaranteed, steal a kill. You can use it to pretty much. So 10 seconds is kind of a big deal. Richter, I don't like that he got buffed. If you get pulled, you die. They kind of explained that if you get pulled, like it's I think a bit easier for you to get away. Like I know I think Richter is apparently not considered as tanky, but like I said, if you get pulled, you die. So I don't like that he got buffed. I feel like something needs to happen to his kit. I think specifically his silence. I don't think they should take away his whiplash because it makes him unique. But I don't think Richter should have a silence in his kit. This is just my opinion. If anyone no meta sees this, like that's way too strong. You keep somebody locked down for too long, and I think that's what makes them really strong. Having a silence that is on 8 seconds, by the way, which I found out the other day, which is kind of insane. 8 second silence. But yeah, his health goes up, health regen, mana growth, physical armor, and his secondary early game the damage goes up. So he's just getting just straight buffs. I personally already think he's like an S tier support because doesn't matter how many hooks you miss, all you need is one. And then after you hook them, and they can't do anything. They can't use abilities and they can't blink when you're silenced either, and then you just ult them and then they're locked down for eternity. Seraph. Seraph is getting a bit of love, specifically more to like late game. That's what they're more or less focusing on. They feel like she falls off once it comes to late game, so they're just giving her a bit of a buff when it comes to that. So her health growth is going up, so that means later on in the match, she's going to end up having more health. Her primary ability cooldown is being decreased by 2 seconds at level 5, which is great because she's an assassin, so you build a lot of ability haste. So you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to spam this ability maybe like a whole bunch of times. And then her ultimate, the cooldown early game is going down. At level 1 is going down by 10 seconds, and the burn damage is also going down. They don't want her to do the cooldown is already going down, so the fact that you're going to be able to do it more often, they don't want her to do too much damage at level 1, which is why it's going down at level 1. But at level 2 and 3, like I said, later on in the match, it's actually going to end up doing more damage than before. At level 3, it does 10 more damage per burn damage, right? Per burn damage. That's not the total damage that she's going to end up doing with this ability, which, it is nice. Overall, this is a very nice buff for Seraph. Severog, someone you don't really see often. He is definitely getting some love. I actually think on paper, he seems really strong to me, and is someone I'm gonna have to try out tomorrow because they mentioned that since Fire Blaster doesn't have mana anymore, they want to give him more mana, so his mana went up. But his Siphon, this ability got buffed, got damage buffs like 3, 4, 5 times already. It's like insane. It's now increased by 5 per level. So at level 1, it does 100 damage, right? 101 at level 1, it does 100 damage, and the cooldown also went down by 0.5. So now at level 1, the cooldown is 5.5 instead of 6. The reason on paper I feel like this seems very strong is because Chimera, sorry, let's take Fang Mao for example, right? Fang Mao does apparently a lot of damage, right? I think he scales better. I think it was for 85, right? His basic attack, but scaling more or less impacts like as you progress through the match, right? Because you're gonna scale better, so you're gonna end up doing more damage later on. At level 1, Fang Mao's hamstring, which just got nerfed because it was apparently doing too much damage, it went down from 100 to 90, and the cooldown is 8 seconds. This does more damage than Fang Mao's hamstring and is on a less cooldown. So I just feel like on paper, this seems really strong, and I really want to try Sevarog in the jungle because he can get stacks like really easily in the jungle. Like I feel like this ability just does. Oh man, 100 damage for something that's 5.5 seconds. I don't know. It sounds really strong. All right, Sparrow. Sparrow right now is considered a menace, so they're toning her down a bit. The first thing is a buff to her physical power, which is going to 58 to 60, but you're gonna see that her passive actually goes down. The relentless passive that the damage that she does with it actually goes from 0.5% to 0.4%, which is additional damage that Sparrow gets if she keeps on landing her basic attacks. Sorry, not just her basic, if she keeps on landing her hits, right? Because her main way to actually stack Relentless is her Hair of Arrows, which is the AoE that she does. Um, that also slows, and as you can see, the scaling actually goes down. This is what it used to be before. At point in V0.18, it actually went to 160. Now they're just reverting it back because like I said, it's the main way she stacks Relentless, and it just did too much damage. And something else that they're nerfing is that when she uses her ultimate, she does less damage because the ultimate already gives her more damage, more movement speed, it gives her more range. They didn't nerf the damage that she does on the side arrows, which did go up, which do almost the same as landing your basic attacks. I think it does like 70, 75, 80. So they didn't nerf that, but the damage that you get off is more specifically when you max this out. So you can see it went from 35 to 25. It goes down. No, it got nerfed. All right, so next is Twin Blast. Twin Blast is getting a bit of love. I don't understand why. Like I said, all carries are strong, and Twin Blast is no exception. He is the safest carry. In case you want to play carry, he is the safest because of his dodge. His health is going up, physical armor is going up. His primary, which is his main poke and like wave clear, is actually going up by 5 per level. And the other one that's getting buffed, I think overall is a buff. I don't know why they're doing this, is grenade. Twin Blast already has 2 grenades, I believe, and the damage is going up by 10 per level, and the scaling is also going up. And their way to nerf this or to compensate for these buffs is that at level 1, the cooldown is increased by 1 second. But as you can see, when you max it out, they both end at 6 seconds, which is kind of insane. Right? More damage, more scaling, but it's like only at level 1. So I feel like some Twin Blast players, right, they might want to max out his grenade just so they can keep poking and keep harassing the enemy duo. Um, but it just depends on the type of player you are, because even if you do max out the one, which most Twin Blasts do, this got a damage increase as well. So, you can't go wrong wherever you want to max them out. All right, so Wraith got an insane amount of changes. They do this to Wraith all the time because, and I feel like in high MMR, he is very strong, and low MMR, he's not that strong, and that's all comes to whether or not you land his snipe shot. So the tweaks that they did to him is we'll see. I think overall, I don't even know how I feel. like I feel like most people are probably gonna say overall is a nerf, mainly because of one thing, which I'll get to. So, his mana growth, mana regen, his attack speed went up, which I actually think is a very cool buff. I do like this. He tends to have a slower attack speed compared to the other ones, and you actually want to build him more similar to Wraith, or if not, put like more pen items on him. You don't normally go attack speed on Wraith, so the fact that he gets attack speed growth, maybe some people are gonna want to put attack speed items on him. So his primary, basically, the damage goes down, but I think it's 5 per level. However, the damage goes down and the physical power and magical power scaling, but the way they compensate for this is that it dismarks them. And if you land your combo, which is if you do your primary and then snipe them with your alternate ability, it does a certain percentage of their max health, and this is actually going up from 5 to 6. This is a big deal because again, this is your max health. This isn't remaining health. This isn't current health. This isn't bonus health. This is your max health, right? So the more health you have, the more this the more the burst damage, I guess you could say, is going to be. The cooldown for this ability is also going down, and the mana is going down. You're going to see that even though his mana growth and mana regen went down, the mana cost for some of his abilities also went down, so it kind of compensates for that. His escape or his invis is actually getting some nice love. This is going back to the way it used to be, where the camel duration used to be 4 and that movement speed used to be 25. This is pretty much the same, right? Whether it goes from 5 to 20, 4 to 25. I kind of like when it's 4 to 25. He is very fast, but his invis doesn't last long. So depending how the Wraith players plays him, it's like either you have to commit to the escape, or if you're gonna stay around, right, you're not gonna be invisible for a super long time. So maybe you're gonna be able to like hit him with an ability or something. So then there's his alternate ability. So yeah, you're gonna see so why people probably thinks that this is an overall nerf. Damage decrease for this ability, I think it was 20 per level. I guess it was doing too much, but again, the mark percentage went up. So if you could land your combos, this is not a big deal, especially since the physical power scaling went up by 10%, by 10, which is a lot. Just know that this is bonus physical power, and this isn't total physical power. So now I feel like they're definitely incentivizing that you build even more physical power on him, and you don't build a lot of magical power on Wraith. Even though his magical power scaling goes up, me personally, I would build a more physical, but I'm not a Wraith main, so if Wraith mains want to let me know. His cost for this is going to be 60 at all levels, which is insane because you maxed this out first and you used to spend 100. Now it's going to be 60, and this right here is what really hurts the character. When you do this ability, if you hit someone that's marked, or if you get a last hit, you would get all the cooldown back. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it used to cost 100, but if you were nice with him, which again, it's very hard because Wraith is a very hard hero to master, you would get all the mana back for the ability. But now you only get 60% back when you hit them, which is definitely a big nerf. The fact that you're not going to get 40% back. Yeah, the cooldown went down, but I don't know if people are building Mind Razor. Right, I say Mind Razor because it has mana, or other items that have mana. I don't know, because again, his mana growth and mana regen went down, so I don't know how much mana he's gonna end up taking now. So I just feel like I have to try Wraith out and see how he feels. I feel like his burst damage is still there, mainly because of this. The mark went up. And later on throughout the match, even though his initial damage for his snipe went down, the scaling went up. So I feel like, I don't know if this is, I feel like early game this is gonna hurt, but mid to late game he's gonna feel even stronger, which makes sense because he is a carry and he should be stronger. as the game progresses. And something else about his alternate ability is that minion damage also increased to 40 to 50, which means getting last hits with this ability is going to be even easier. But because you only get 60% of your mana back, you're not gonna want to snipe the minion every single time. Like you're gonna want to pay attention when you want to snipe them, because you're not gonna get full mana and you don't want to waste all your mana. All right, it's nerfing his burst damage that he could do. So his skating is going down. His barricade, the minimum damage it does, so this is like right when you activate it and you stun someone, is going down. And then the power skating for it is also going down. Um, this is all of this combined is a big deal for his burst damage, which I didn't feel like was that strong, but I guess it was. His Spear of Near, I feel like the cooldown should have gone up. I mean, I do love this hero, but the fact that he gets 0.5 of it back is kind of insane. So even I agreed that they probably shouldn't. Even I'm saying, as someone that uses him, they should increase his cooldown by 1. But whatever, the damage does 20 less when you max this out, which is the first ability to max out. And then his ultimate power scaling went from 80 to 75. So it's so now, like I say, this is definitely gonna hurt his burst damage. So he's gonna so if you ult someone and then you barricade as fast as possible, so you skate, your ultimate is gonna do less damage, right? Because it has less skating. Then you barricade, right? If you want to do just a burst, when you activate and just do it right away, the minimum damage went down, the scaling went down, so you're not gonna do a lot with this. And then your Spear of Near, which is what you max out first, does less damage than before. So he's just gonna be doing a lot less burst damage. So yeah, just nerfs, just straight nerfs to Saurus, because too strong. All right, so that was the hero changes. The next thing I'm gonna go over is gonna be the item changes. So regarding the items, the first one that to go over is the Marksman Crest, and you're gonna see that the Marksman Crest, because there's a bit of carry nerfs, they want to buff the crest, so at least they have something. So you're gonna see that the Marksman Crest attack speed went up to 8 to 10, and then lifesteal increased from 4 to 5. And regarding every other upgrade for this crest, the very last upgrade, all 3 of them, the attack speed went up from 12 to 15 for all of them, and the lifesteal went up from 6 to 7 on all of them. However, Eviscerator did get another change, which is the power scaling for its passive actually went down from 20 to 15. And I believe they did this because, as I mentioned earlier, Sparrow is currently insanely strong. So they wanted to tone her down even more, based on the items that she usually tends to buy or upgrade, or crest used to upgrade. She tends to upgrade to. Other crests that they talk about is Judgment. Cooldown is being increased. I think they should increase it more. This is insanely strong because it just lets you wave clear in lane when you're playing an offlaner, like super fast. Like use your abilities and wave clear with this. So this crest, this is the one that replaced Phoenix. This allows you to wave clear and then use in fights, sometimes even twice per fight, because it's just you get it back so fast. So this crest is just really strong. Typhoon, I guess they want people to use this more. I do see Twin Blast and some Sparrows use this, even though they don't have magical damage, just to get its passive, where it's like you could keep getting stacks and get even more attack speed. And then I think when you have max stacks with this upgraded crest, I think you get to dash. So I think that's why you see some carries actually build this. Or maybe they're doing this because maybe they want people like Shinbi to use this in the jungle more, which is something I definitely want to try out. The next thing they talk about is near war boots. So no one uses this. This upgraded crest is being overlooked by I forget what the other one is called. I think it's Sapphires and Razorback. Especially since, like I said, tanks aren't that strong. So, and Razorback gives you 25% more of your physical and magical, which, by the way, since they're getting buffed, I feel like depending on how the match goes, maybe people want to buy even more Razorbacks just so you have even more physical and magical power than before. But near War Boots is definitely getting buffed, where the max health that you get, the healing per second is actually going from 1.5 to 2%. I think this is what it used to be when it first came out, and people used to use it a lot. but the stats for all the crests are also different right now. They got changed last patch, so we'll see just who uses this. I might use this on Rampage. I think Rampage takes advantage of this because Rampage just loves having different types of health regeneration. All right, so right here you see a buff to a tier 2 item, not a big deal. I mean, this actually is a big deal because I think this item goes into like Citadel, which is arguably one of the strongest items. It's a fighter item that gives you more armor, more physical armor than most tank items, and it also has, I think, the thing where you the passive where just around you enemies have 20% less like armor, which is just insane. So just having this tier 2 cost more, and it takes longer for you to get this online, even though it's not a very last item that you want to strive for. You know, it could actually hurt a few. I guess it would be like junglers and offlaners that do want to buy this item and upgrade it to whatever else. I know Citadel is one of the items, but there are more, but that's the one that comes to mind. All right, other items. So items that are getting touched. So the carry items, right? Ashbringer is getting its ability haste to 20 to 25. 20 was already high. 25 is insanely high. If people weren't buying it before, I don't know if they're gonna buy it now. This item might need another rework, but 25. This is insane. I feel like this item would be very good on Grim and Twin Blast, maybe. I know it's kind of like get your abilities fast, and then I think it's passive also allows you. That's crit. And not every carry wants to do crit. Demolisher price is going up. There's penetration, and then there is just this. There's a bug fix where I think it correctly states the health difference. You don't see that much Demolisher because tanks aren't that good and no one is buffed, but they are increasing the cost because they strong and everyone used to just buy like your second, third buy every single time. Dust Devil, so another carry item where cost is going up, right? But they're lowering the physical power, but more attack speed. This makes sense because you want to get, I think it's 6 stacks with this, and then you get like movement speed and like more attack speed with this item. So they want you to get faster, which is why the attack speed went up, but they don't want you to do an insane amount of damage with it, which is why, in order to compensate for that, they lowered the damage. Equinox, I think is this the one? I feel like this one's really cool. One of the cool new items that they added. I think the passive was strong. The only issue with Equinox is its base stats. Its base stats are pretty low. So like if they were higher, I think everyone that runs crit will run this because I do think the passive is really strong. So they lower the cost and then lower the damage. It's fine. I don't know if people are gonna buy it. I don't think too many people are buying this. And like I said, I think the reason is because the base stats that it gives you, and even though I think it gives you everything, I think it gives you power and attack speed and stuff. It's just they're very low. Kingsbane, an insanely strong item, just very strong. Makes Twin Blast Sparrow. Even people like Chimera, Grux, right? They just abuse Kingsbane. There's attack speed scaling is going down, and the fall off duration is also going down. And then there's a bug fix, which Regicide 120 monster cap, I guess. Now it's not correctly reduced on hit. I never seen this bug fix, but they are fixing it, which is nice. The fall off, I don't think is that big of a deal. It can be, but I don't think so. This is just because it's like if you leave a fight and then you engage again, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. This is it's big nerf, which is good. The scaling was too high, getting 5 to 4, but it does still scale up. Sorry, if you could keep landing your basic attacks. Lightning Hawk, power is going down, but attack speed is going up. You're gonna see this for some of these items where it's like they know carries are doing an insane amount of damage. So carry items are going down, initial damage is going down, but the attack speed is going up. And then, as I keep mentioning, the 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 tank items. You're gonna have more physical and magical defense. So they're trying to balance it out. Um, Based on how the game used to be before. They don't want it to be like a tank meta again, or people said it was a tank meta. Right now, it's like carries are just doing so much, so they're just trying to find the middle ground. And just by tweaking these numbers a bit, and you're gonna see with the tank items, just tweaking them a little bit. It's not by a lot. Nuclear rounds. This one is not like the others where attack speed did go down, and its passive ability was too strong. This says 3 to 15, so just so everyone is aware, you get 4% more ability damage based on every 20%, right? Every 20% of crit chance that you have since you go up to 100. So basically, if you have 20% crit chance, you get 4% more um, ability damage. Sorry, that's what it used to be before, but now it's going to be 3%. If you have 40%, it's going to be 6. If you have 100, you're going to get 15% more. That was just me doing the math, so that way you wouldn't have to. Resolution. This one, they actually want you to do more damage with it. So this is more of a damage item, which is why power is going up. The mana is going up, which means you're going to be able to get more damage off your mana because of its passive, where it gives you more damage based on your max mana. And because it's getting more damage, this one is losing attack speed. Sky Splitter, it's always been a very strong item. It's finally getting nerfed a bit. Um, its health, this is every time you basic attack, you do a certain percentage of the current health, and this is going down from 5 to 4. I would love to see this go down even to like 3.5, but it did get nerfed, and it's going to cost more, which is good. Stormbreaker attack speed is actually going down, and you're going to see here that the max stacks that you can have is 150 to 100. This looks like it's a big deal, but it's not, because I think you just do one more damage. Like while you keep getting the stacks, you do one more damage based on the number of stacks you have, and the more you progress through the match, you're gonna be able to clear minions a lot faster with your basics and your abilities anyway. So yeah, this is a nerf, but it's not as big as a nerf as people are probably thinking it is. Deathstalker, physical penetration is going down, and this is a big deal. This is a really big buff. What Deathstalker does is that it transfers how much physical penetration you have into attack speed. It used to transfer 80% of it. Now it's doing 100%. I always thought it was 100%. It wasn't. So this is really cool, which is why they kind of nerfed the penetration, because they didn't want this to be too strong. So there might be builds now where you could do, pen builds, whether you're playing an assassin or even a carry. Like I've done a Kira pen build where um, you don't build attack speed items. You just build a lot of penetration item, and penetration is you're still gonna have penetration, but it's also penetration will also give you even more attack speed, which is kind of cool. Envy, very strong item. It's getting a bit of a nerf where after you like dash or like get out of invis or leap, your basic attack does a crit. It's an automatic crit, and then silences them. It's just going down by a bit. Infernum, they're kind of hitting anti-tank items like Infernum and Caustica, as you're gonna see later. Infernum is basically the bonus cinder damage. Physical armor is going down by 1% to 0.75. Berserker's Axe, very strong item. Movement speed, sorry, it was 4%. It's going down to 3. Blitz cooldown is being decreased by 12 to 10. This isn't a big deal. It is a buff, but this is basically, I think, after you like leap on someone, your next basic attack is slows them, and you're gonna be able to do this a lot sooner. But its base movement speed is being lowered. The fact that it even has a base stat of movement speed is something that makes this item very strong. Junglers love this item. Because of this, there isn't a lot of items that give you movement speed. Draconum is getting a bit of a buff. They really want people to use this. Most offlaners don't use this, mainly because it doesn't have health, but they might. I think people like Chimera and Rampage could definitely use this item. It's definitely, and even like Grux and even Saurus could use this item. I don't think it's a bad item. It's something that I definitely have to try. Gaia Greaves, supposedly this was a strong item. It's something I don't use much. I can see why. I think movement speed is being decreased. The max movement speed from 70 to 60. 60 is still a lot, But for anyone that isn't aware, I think after you do a basic or ability on someone, or if they hit you, it uses up all the stacks. So it isn't like, you know, don't see this number and think that you're gonna have this movement speed forever. Miss Metal Buckler, which is one of the 2 items that gives you both physical power and magical defense. Cost is going up, but so is the physical power. And the Omnivamp that it has. The fact that it has Omnivamp is very strong because Omnivamp, you know, you get to heal off basics and abilities, so that's insane. Yeah. So yeah, I guess they just want people to use this item more. And like I said, tank items and even fighter items like this are getting buffed. Next is Caustica, similar to Infernum, where it's getting a bit of a nerf where it's damage per magical armor decreased from 0.35% to 0.30%. Similar, like I said, anti-tank items got nerfed. Life Binder, this is an interesting change. This is interesting because this used to give you 300 health, then they put, so it gives you 300 mana. Now they're taking out the 300 mana that they gave us and giving us 10 ability haste. This is kind of, I kind of like it and I kind of hate it. I think if you're a jungler, like if you're a mage jungler like Shinbi and Countess, you're gonna like this more because you want to abuse your abilities as fast as possible. If you lane with Countess or Shinbi, um, or even like I guess Kwang and Aurora, they might build this, right? You're not gonna like this change as much because even though ability haste is strong, when you're laning, because you don't have access to like blue buff like the junglers do, 300 mana is a big deal. So they might, you know, this might hurt like magical solar laners, but it's a buff for like magical junglers. Magnify. This item is nuts. Has insane stats. It shreds armor. I can't even think of another item that shreds armor. It got an insane buff, and they decided to buff it even more, which I'm surprised. Like this item actually needed a nerf. Like this is arguably top 5 item in the game. Oathkeeper. They lower the ability haste. You're gonna see that they lower the ability haste. I think for some of the other items. However, it's passive. The empowered basic attack, I believe it is. The scaling actually goes up. Time Warp, they're making adjustments to this because they felt like it's very similar to a support item called Cresselia, which is kind of like the support version of getting your cooldowns or your abilities back faster. And this is kind of like the mid lane version, and they kind of wanted to. They've been shifting Time Warp for supports to use it more. And even though they've been phrasing it like that, I feel like people think that this is a bad mid lane item, and it's not. Um, However, now most mid laners maybe might not build it because of this. I think the cost, the fact that it went up by 250 is too steep. This is an insane amount for it to go up. Like it didn't even go up by 100, like some of the other items. It went up by 250, so this is a lot. But magical power goes up. It's base mana regen. If people buy it, it's also going to be because of this, because I don't think there's another item that gives you 175% base mana. Trying to think of another one. Which item, but it's not that big of a deal, mainly because it's basically every 8 seconds you lose 1 second off your active abilities anyways. World Breaker. It's just gonna scale even better. I guess people aren't building it more, so this converts your health into damage. 4% to 4.5. Ray flag gains. It's just getting quality of life changes where it's now gonna apply with like on hit and true damage. They kind of want some of the offlaners to use this. I think just to give an example, and they gave an example like Kwang to use this ability, which is kind of cool. Like if you throw your sword and then you do your true damage, you're gonna be able to proc Ray flag gains. And you're going to be able to do more damage on them. I believe it does more damage than the other 40%, 15% more damage, but they're lowering because Reflecting is just a very strong item. It's also very strong because just it has, similar to Berserker's Axe, it has 3% movement speed on one of its base stats. So that's, like I said, having movement speed is just very strong in any MOBA game. Cresselia, I was speaking about this item, which is similar to Time Warp. You know, the cost is going down, damage is going down, but its main thing is that ability haste is going up, right? Supports now have an item that gives them 20 ability haste, which is kind of insane. they're definitely going to be able to abuse their abilities a lot. The only thing now, like after building this, they definitely have to worry. I feel like supports either first or second item, assuming this isn't your first item, is gonna have to be something that gives you like mana regen or mana, so they could constantly keep using their abilities. And maybe they're gonna like normally I would go Cresselia and Time Warp, and Time Warp did get a nice mana regen buff, so this combo might still be very good in duo in support role. Other passive, we got Dynamo, where its passive went down. This is when you immobilize someone, the additional damage that you do to them. Hexbound, ability haste. This is another one. I've actually started using this. I thought it was a bad item. It's okay. I do like it more on like melee supports because I have to be close up in the fight. So just being able to get some of my mana back, especially with like Narbash, where you want to keep the heals as active as possible, is not as bad as I initially thought. All right, we got Crystalline Curious. So you're gonna see with these tank items, they get buffs. The way they quote unquote get nerfed is that you're gonna see that their cost goes up. So for this one, the cost went up by 100, but magical power went up, which is good. More magical armor. This is what we were talking about the whole video. Elefrost, health went down. Um, Physical armor went up. Mana regen went up, so this is very good. And then Frostblade damage also went up. This is kind of cool. They kind of want you to buy this item on some heroes, to buy this item first or replace buying Fire Blossom. And there might be certain scenarios where you might want to buy this. Like I could see a Steel offlane buying this instead of Fire Blossom, only because its passive does more. Its mana regen is higher, and Steel's shield bash comes back I think every 8 seconds. So the fact that you're going to be able to stun them and then slow them, and his shield bash comes back very fast, so you can stun them again, is going to make it very tricky for people to get away from you. Fire Blossom cost goes up, and physical armor goes up. They didn't touch the damage, which is nice because we all know that Fire Blossom, even now, it still does a decent amount of damage. Fist of Razor. Um, I like the change that they did with this because they kind of want this to be your tank version of having high ability haste. And the way they did this was smart because they made it so that this item doesn't have physical or magical defense. And it's one of, I can only think of one other one, which is I think something rejuvenation, right? Raiment or renewal, sorry. It's the only, like those are the only two tank items that I could think of that are considered tank items, but they don't have magical or physical defense. And the reason they're considered tank items is because they just have so much health. So as you can see, the amount of health you get from this item actually goes up. The ability haste doubles, which is insane. This is now like if you want a lot of ability haste, you want this. And the healing that you get off its passive actually went from getting 50% of it to 100%. So I think like I actually want to try this like on Rampage or something, who just loves health regen, and now I have another way to like heal myself. And Rampage got a bit of a buff when he does ultimate. This is a nice shift to the item, but me personally, I think it's an overall buff. Flux Matrix, cost went up, health went up, physical armor went up, ability haste went down. Because, go back to Fist of Razor, this is the main way, or like the main tank item that gives you ability haste. You're gonna see that some of these items, their ability haste might lower. Giant's Ring costs more, right? More health. This one does have more haste, which is kind of surprising. Even though the cost went up, just getting these two buffs, especially 5 more ability haste, is really good because this item was already really strong. Raiment of Renewal, cost went up, health went up, and even missing health went up, which is insane. Stonewall, cost went up, health went up, physical armor went up. They did lower the damage mitigation, which is a big deal. But I mean, its health went up and physical armor went up, so it's still a very good item. Especially next item is Tainted Bastion. Cost went up, health went up, magical armor went up. Tainted Guard, cost went up, health went up, physical armor went up. They did make Blighted Thorns go down. I guess this was doing too much damage back at like carries or like even like on Grux, because this is kind of like a way for you to counter Grux. So it's okay. The fact that it got more tanky, it's the main thing that we're looking at here. Unbroken Will, more cost, more health. Void Helmet. This got a bit of a change. I don't know how I feel about it. This actually has less cost instead of more cost. A bit less health, but it does have more magical armor, and it now only has one passive instead of two. They took out the passive where you get to heal, so this is definitely gonna hurt Steel, so he doesn't get those pesky heals just off doing any ability. But his other ability, where any healing you get, whether that's health regeneration or like even use activating health bots, is being increased from like 10% to 15%. This might be very strong on like Narbash or even Rampage where you want to build tank, which is kind of nice. It's kind of a shift. I don't know how I feel about this. Like I said, Steel won't be able to use this, which is kind of good. And the last item is Warden's Faith, where cost went up, right? Health went up, physical armor went up by a lot actually, from 60 to 70. And its physical power reduction, similar to Stonewall, actually decreased from 6% to 5%. So, more magical and physical armors to a lot of the tank items and even fighter items. The next thing is Brawl mode changes. So this is kind of cool. Brawl mode is a fun game mode, and what they decided to do was that they are specifically targeting heroes and nerfing or buffing how they do only in Brawl mode specifically. So you're gonna see that Aurora cooldown reduction by 10, Gideon damage done decreased by 5, Greystone damage taken increased by 5, Muriel healing and shielding 10% less effective. Something else that they added, this was for the heroes, but for the items, as you can see, items that you normally need a stack by like killing enemies or just being around people is now gonna apply like passively. So like Alchemical Rod, Soul Chalice, Orb of Growth. They say like within 3 minutes to fully stack the items passively. So it's gonna keep going up the amount of stacks you get. But even like Saphir's Mantle, just being around people when you activate it, instead of you're gonna get 1.2 times the stacks compared to PvP, which means you get it even faster. And like Obelisk, this is when you get the last hits on me, activate it, you're gonna get double the amount of stacks. And then the next thing is bug fixes, but I didn't see anything that's a big deal. They talk about Demolisher here, but they already mentioned it up there where it's one of the bug fixes. And they fix what's stated on the item. So yeah, this was description on V0.18.3. This is me going over everything, and let me know what you think.